Dear participants, greetings of the day. I am Dr. Kausar Abbas, Associate Professor of Islamic Finance. I am delighted to be here and want to thank the organizers for providing me this opportunity to share my thoughts on an important policy, banking on equality, at this second international conference on business and policy studies. I want to share the recent developments and future directions to be considered by all concerned in this regard. Here is the topic. Banking on equality, reducing the gender gap in financial inclusion. Okay, equivalent opportunities for all genders to access and take part in all financial services are critical for sustainable and inclusive economic growth in any country. Better opportunities for women to earn and control income has been demonstrated in terms of contributing to broader economic development in developing economies. For instance, through higher levels of school enrollment for girls, improved productivity of female-owned companies, and raised potential of economic growth. Gender equality is also a United Nations Sustainable Development Goal and ultimately a country's success for empowering women rates on a gender-responsive approach in its public policy, management, and implementation, including its financial policies. In this regard, women's equal access to financial services becomes a priority for a country like Pakistan, whose population of 207.8 million includes 49% women who are behind in terms of financial inclusion and contribution to economic activity. Okay, this survey has been conducted by World Bank in 2017. As per World Bank survey, female account ownership stands at 76% in India, 73% in Sri Lanka, 36% in Bangladesh, 7% in Afghanistan, and 41% in Nepal. Moreover, in other Muslim countries, female account ownership stands at 58% in Saudi Arabia, 82% in Malaysia, 92% in Iran, and 54% in Turkey. So despite the fact that women have made some progress in terms of financial inclusion in Pakistan, but according to this survey, a clear gender gap still exists in the country, which is one of the widest amongst in its South Asian peers. So according to this survey, 21% of adults in Pakistan have a formal financial account, increasing from 13% in 2014. However, a gender disaggregated analysis reveals that adult women's formal financial account ownership has increased from 4.8% in 2014 to 7% in 2017, while men's account ownership has increased from 21% in 2014 to 34.6% in 2017. This shows that almost 93% of adult women in Pakistan do not have a formal financial account, as well as other financial services. So this is the current state of women financial inclusion in Pakistan. As of October 2019, women represent 13.2% of overall banking staff, 15.8% of head office staff, 12% of branch staff, while only 2% in branchless banking are women. If you see, only 9% are women in SMEs finance, they are the borrowers, and 23% women borrowers of microfinance banks. So as well as 21 million women have their active accounts. While considering the low ratio or percentage, State Bank of Pakistan decided to launch a policy, Banking on Equality, in 2021 to reduce the gender gap in financial inclusion. So, dear participants, you see how many phases have been taken place to draft and conclude this policy. I would like to brief about this, that how policy document was initiated by State Bank of Pakistan after a detailed review of international best practices, stakeholder discussions, and careful understandings of Pakistan's social landscape. Afterwards, the policy was shared with national and international stakeholders for review, and it benefited from valuable feedback received from Pakistan Banks Association, Office of United Nations for Inclusive Finance for Development, HM Queen Maxima, IMF, World Bank, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundations, IFC, CGAP, etc. The public consultation phase was also launched by State Bank of Pakistan through a high-profile webinar held on December 21, 2020, which was broadcasted on social media. The public consultation launch was graced by Governor State Bank of Pakistan. The event invited all relevant stakeholders and public at large to give them opportunity to provide their feedback. Furthermore, State Bank of Pakistan placed the draft policy document on its website and social media for wider circulation and feedback. Over the next 3 months, State Bank of Pakistan received comments, feedback from various institutions and public at large through email at gender@sbp.org.pk. Subsequently, State Bank of Pakistan held multiple focus group discussions led by Governor State Bank of Pakistan to receive focused feedback to help fine-tune the policy and develop the future implementation and roadmap. The participants of focus group discussions included federal minister, senator, advisors to prime minister, senior vice chancellors, senior representative from Nadra Stock Exchange Commission of Pakistan, vice chancellors and presidents of different universities, including IBA, Zabest, Women University Multan, CEOs of different companies, mobile companies, large corporates, representative of Chamber of Commerce and Industries to get their views and feedback on the policy measures and implementation roadmap. So participants, you see how many phases have been taken place to conclude this policy in 2021. Okay, 5 pillars were introduced. The first pillar of this policy is gender diversity in financial institutions and their access points. Okay, according to this pillar, all financial institutions are responsible to develop and submit a policy to reduce the gender gap in financial inclusion, duly approved by their board of directors with a commitment and roadmap to improve their institutions' overall gender diversity among their bank staff and their customer representatives, and to ensure that women comprise of at least 20% of their workforce by 2024. So this is the second pillar of this policy, women-centric products and outreach targets. Okay, according to this pillar, financial institutions are responsible to apply gender lens on existing and new products within 6 months of creation of department and sale market strategies to address women's financial needs. Awareness should also be created through this pillar. Okay, according to third pillar of this policy, women's champions at all customers touch point. I think this is very much important point to encourage our women so they feel comfortable to approach any bank or access financial products suited to their needs. Financial institutions will place women champions in all of its branches in next 18 months while ensuring at least 75% of touch points should have women champions within the next 3 years. So number 4 is robust collection of gender disaggregated data and target setting. According to this, financial institutions will be asked to start collecting and submitting quarterly gender disaggregated data to remain attentive towards women's shares in bank accounts, credit offtake, payments, agriculture, credit disbursements, and Islamic financing. So I think this is very much important to collect their feedback on quarterly basis, so they would able to modify their policy implementation, revise accordingly. Number 5 is Policy Forum on Gender and Finance. Of course, when we initiated any policy and then we given this policy to financial institutions to implement, if monitoring part is missing, of course, there is all useless. So this is very much important to monitor the implementation of the policy. So this will be achieved through establishing the forum with representations from bank, microfinance banks, electronic money issuers, Stock Exchange Commission of Pakistan, Government's Commission on Women, Women Chamber of Commerce, civil society. So this forum will meet at least biannually or will be chaired by Governor State Bank of Pakistan. So I think this is again good initiative of this policy to get some feedback at least biannually. Okay, so I would conclude by saying this: closing the gender is challenging since the root causes go beyond access and center on powerful social norms. However, it is our responsibility to put holistic and mindful incorporation while following such guidelines or policies for closing the gender gap within the financial sector. So, dear participants, if this policy exists, such kind of policy exists in your country, so it is your responsibility, being researcher, to examine the impact of such policies, right? And give your recommendation to stakeholders to improve and achieve the policy measures. If do not have such policy, you may follow this guideline that how State Bank of Pakistan has developed this policy. You can also take initiative to propose such recommendations to your regulators, so they would able to make such policies for the citizens of your country. So it is our responsibility to move forward with somehow positive attitude. So everybody should play their role at their best. Thank you so much. Hope to see you some other times. Thank you.